Okay, so I'm grabbing this for Ben as much as anybody else. So the request is, how do you make a halo, and how do you make that so you can do it dynamically? So in Rhino, you've got a variety of commands. A way to do them dynamically is to use the Grasshopper plugin. And so a halo essentially is a circle. It's a series of circles. There's an inside circle, an outside circle for the width, and the stones that fit between them. So I guess you'd start with the center stone, right? So if you said I want a circle defining the center stone, you'd have a circle, I guess a circle on a plane. All right, so we're in the top view looking straight down, so that happens to work for a halo. I want a number slider to define the center stone size, so I'm going to double click the background and I'll start typing a number. It's a quick shortcut. So 6.5 millimeters or 1 carat. So I'm going to press enter and it'll generate a number slider for me pre-populated with 6.5. I can connect that to the radius, and of course the first math error you see is that a radius is not a diameter. All right, so we've got a half this. So next to the R, right click it, go to expression. Anything coming into the R is always X, so you can go X divided by 2. Okay, so anything that came into here, we added an expression to it by right clicking, and we said whatever comes in, which is X, divided by 2. So then we now have a radius which we can open and close. So this will be the inside of our stone. And the stone's going to have a bezel thickness, presumably, and then the actual halo will start. All right, so this is, we're going to call gem size, gem diameter. Sorry, so we're going to go gem diameter. All right, and then we've got bezel diameter. We're going to offset this circle. All right, so we're going to grab another circle, or actually we're just going to use the offset command. So double click the background, start offset. The curve that we want to offset is this one. Remembering that we're now going to have two curves. We're going to have the original one and the one that then got offset. The distance is going to get offset, so I'm going to take that guy again, or I'm going to double click the background. I'm going to type 0.85, and I'm going to stick that into the distance to offset. Drag from there, stick it in distance. All right, so you can increase this by double clicking the word distance, and you can go make that 1.5. I don't think anybody would ever want a bezel bigger than 1.5, so we're going to call this one bezel thickness. Okay. And so now you've got two controls. You can control the center stone size, and the bezel thickness of 0.85 will travel with it. All right, and or you can change the bezel thickness separately. So this hypothetically should then be the inside of your, it's also the same curve would then define the inside of the halo. All right, so we can duplicate this curve afterwards. So both of these curves are just placeholders for us at the moment. We're then going to say how many, what size smalls do we want around here and how many do we want, assuming that you can even get them in there, all right? Or you can say I want a thickness and split them in half. Depends on how we want to do this next, all right? So I'm gonna use method A for creating a halo, which is to give a nominated thickness that we want, and then how many stones can we fit in it. So I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to go curve, all right? And it's just a curve holder. I'm going to bring this curve in here, and I'm going to call this halo inside. Okay. And then we need a halo thickness, so we can just copy this exact same offset that we have here and the bezel thickness over there. So I can take you and you, and go Control C, Control V, and I'll bring them down here. And the curve that I want to offset is that halo inside at the moment. So this we want to make it a little bit bigger because the halo can probably be bigger. I'm going to bring it up to 3. All right, and we've got a third curve. All right, we no longer need to see these two inside ones, so we can hide them. We know that they're there, so I'm just going to do that and click the hide button. So now we're just seeing the halo. All right. We now want to find out at that thickness how many stones can I evenly fit inside there with, say, a border on the stone, right? So you're going to have a distance between this curve and that curve. All right, so we already know what that thickness is there, and we know what the halo thickness is going to be over here. Halo thickness. All right, so the distance distance over here between that offset curve, so you've got 0.92, so this plus this, you've got 2.4 as a thickness over there. Half the thickness is going to give you a curve in the middle. Except that a stone doesn't go all the way up to edge, there's a little bit of border. Alright, so we're going to take this and we're going to do a subtraction. Subtraction, there it is there. Nah, goodness me, try that again. Subtraction, like that. So we're going to take this and we're going to subtract how much border we want. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to Control C and Control V it again. I'm going to pop that in there and I'm going to give it a much smaller value. So this time you wouldn't have more than, say, 0.5 border. Let's say 1 mil total border. Remembering that that's either side, okay? So we're going to subtract this. So we've got 2.4 minus that, and this we want to divide by 2. All right? Because we want to find the center curve. Or you could find the tween curve, doesn't really matter. What we're trying to determine here is what size stone we're going to have. So this output over here means we're going to use 1.7 millimeter stones. So we've got a couple of things now. We want to get a tween curve between this curve and this curve. So we want a tween curve. Tween. We want to get a curve that's in between you and you. So that's nicely in the middle. Now we know that we want to get a length of this curve. So the length of that curve is now known to us. It is 32 point that. And we're going to divide it by the number of stones we have over here. All right, so inside of here we've said that we want to put a 1.7 mil stone inside there, into there. So you're going to do division. Big number and divide it by the small number, and then we're going to discard the decimal, so we want 19. So I can discard the decimal by converting it to an integer. So at the moment it has multiple decimal points, an integer doesn't, so we're going to cast it, we're going to use an integer holder, and we're going to convert this, and you'll see that the number that then ends up in the integer is 19. So we now know that we need to array 19 stones, 19 gems around here. We want to also know what the distance is for that. So we're going to first of all draw one circle, and then we're going to create an array. So the circle over here is I'm going to find, I've got the tween curve, I can find an end. So I can go start point, start or end point, doesn't really matter. Can't remember what that's called. Let's go into curve and utilities, find the start and the end. Rebuild smooth curve in here somewhere. Been a while since I've been in here, give me a sec. Seam, I don't want to adjust the seam. Division, analysis, there we go, that's what we're after. So, curve middle wouldn't have mattered either. I guess let's just use curve middle. Right. So we're going to take that tween curve, I'm going to find the center of it, there's a point, and we're going to draw a new circle. Okay. The circle's plane is going to be at that point, and its radius is going to be our new 1.7. Where were you? There. 1.7. So remember, the radius has to be divided by 2, so expression is x divided by 2. Okay, so you now have the ability to change the gap. Oops. Gem gap to the edge. Okay. Which is total. Remember, it's doing it on both sides. Okay. And then as you're changing that and you're changing the size of the stone, you're also going to change the total number of stones available. All right, so now we're going to do a polar array. The geometry we're going to be moving is the circle here. So I'm going to bring that geometry across here. Okay, and the number of them is going to be this. Okay, so you see that they're perfectly touching. So as we change the thickness of the halo, we're going to get smaller stones consecutively, keeping the same gap, and we can change the spacing towards the edge and keep the same gap. Alright, so that automatically lays out the stones for you. It would be really nice to know how many stones you had. For that you can use a panel. Alright, so I'm going to create a panel, and into this panel I'm going to put a few things. So I'm going to put in our number of units. So there is this many stones. There's 22 stones of this diameter. So I'm holding the shift key and I'm bringing that in there. So we're 1.36 millimeter stones. There's 22 of them. That's good. I'm happy with that. Alright, so you have everything you need now to start cutting, except for that you never cut the hole the same size as the stone. It's always about 60%. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy this out. We now know that the stones are going to fit, they're not going to touch, and they've got enough gap to the edge to allow our setter to raise beads. We're now going to do the next thing. We're going to find that circle. Where are you? That's you. And we are going to offset this. We're going to do another little offset. Okay. This time we're going to go inwards. We've got to do a multiplication of that size. So the size we have to do, hold 1 second. Okay, so we've got the stone diameter inside here, the 1.36. We want 60% of that. So we're going to do a multiplication. Of this multiplied by 0.6. So x multiplied by 0.6. Oops, wrong thing, my bad, meant to be cancel, cancel, cancel. That was 0.6, hold second, I'm going to pause the recording. Sorry, a little bit jumpy around here. Okay, so we've got a 60% stone, alright. And then this is the one that we want to make another circle of. So I'm going to take that circle, Control C and Control V, and I'm going to bring this radius into it. Alright, do I want to do a multiplication? Yes, I do. Have I done a multiplication? Ah, I didn't put anything in there. Set data item 0.6, my bad. So we've got the smaller one over there, and then the smaller one is actually the one that we want to be able to do the polar array on. Alright, so I'm going to take that, I'm going to Control C, Control V it again, and the geometry going into this time is that, and then we can hide this one. Alright, so we know that the stones are there, we know that it works, but we don't want to drill a hole the full size. Alright, we want to drill a hole just there to allow the setter some meat to do some cutting. Okay. That offset we no longer need, we can delete. Alright, so then, so that you can bake it, you can then see, like, you know, I've made my part thicker, thinner, whatever you need to get the job done. And you can have less gap to the edge, more gap to the edge, right up to the edge as you need, as you see fit, and you'll still get that. Alright, so then we need to output the curve, so I'm going to make another curve holder. So curve, because Justin's going to want to cut, or somebody's going to have to cut this. We don't want that outside curve, so what we're going to take from here, this is the outside curve, so we could just leave it, or just hide it for now. I'm going to leave it there. This is the geometry that we want to bake, so I'm going to bring this over to this curve holder and hide that. Then we also have the two circles, which is, I don't want you, I do want, where are you? Length, circle. I want that curve. So I'm going to hold the shift key to add it in here. Okay. And we want the inside curve, which is there. Is that it? Yeah. So holding the shift key, we bring it over to here. Snap them all in. So these are the curves we want to be able to bake. So you can see with them highlighted. We've got the outside curve, we've got the inside cutting curve, we've got the outside exit curve. Then really the rest of these you can just hide. Alright? Knowing that if you need to, you can unhide them to see what's happening, but the math over here is correct for you to be able to cut a halo that size. Then remembering that you can bring your center gem size in and it will automatically change everything for you. Okay. All right, I'll send that over to Ben, and then hopefully this helps you build your own ones moving forward. Cheers, guys.